I want to talk to you today about something that took me 45 years to learn. And if you're willing to listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart, you might not have to wait that long. Let's start with something simple but powerful. Life will not give you what you deserve. It will give you what you demand. I spent years waiting, hoping, thinking that if I just worked hard enough or was just good enough, something or someone would come along and reward me. But nothing changed because I didn't change. What I didn't understand was that hope is not a strategy. Waiting is not growth. Life responds not to wishes but to action. That's the first truth that took me decades to absorb. Your life is a reflection of your standards. If you tolerate mediocrity in your relationships, in your health, in your career, that's exactly what you'll get. Raise your standards and you force yourself to rise to meet them, and you fall faster than you think. I learned that the hard way. The second thing that took me 45 years to learn is this. Pain is not your enemy, it's your compass. Most people run from pain. They numb it, avoid it, ignore it. But pain is your body, your mind, your soul shouting, there's something here you need to deal with. It's feedback, it's direction. And if you sit with it, not suffer in it, but sit with it, you'll uncover the lesson. Growth lives inside discomfort. You can't transform in the middle of comfort. Comfort is where dreams go to die. Let me tell you something. The most successful people in the world are not the smartest, not the strongest. They are the ones who become emotionally flexible. They've trained themselves to use pain instead of letting pain use them. That's the game changer. You either use your experiences to build your future, or your experiences become your prison. And here's something that may shake you. Your story is your cage. For years, I told myself stories about why I couldn't succeed, why people didn't understand me, why I was stuck. The more I repeated those stories, the more they became my reality. I was the author of my own limitations. That's the trap. The story you tell yourself will either empower you or destroy you. You want to change your life? Change your story. Say it out loud right now. This is not who I am anymore. Because when your identity shifts, your actions follow. Let me give you the third lesson it took me 45 years to really learn. Life is happening for you, not to you. It's not personal, it's purposeful. Every failure, every heartbreak, every rejection, it was preparing you. Life is your greatest teacher. But the tuition is high. And most people quit before the lesson is complete. Don't you dare walk away from the struggle. That fire, it's forging something in you. A version of you that you haven't even met yet. And here's the next truth. People are mirrors, not obstacles. The way people treat you has nothing to do with you and everything to do with what they are fighting inside. When someone betrays you, belittles you, leaves you, it's a reflection of their own chaos, not your worth. But here's the trick. If you internalize it, you adopt their dysfunction as your identity. You hand over your power. Don't. You imagine. If you imagine the worst fact is the worst fact. Stand firm. Remember who you are. And while we're at it, forgive fast. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Anger is a chain. Resentment is a slow poison. Every second you carry it, you're robbing yourself of life. Forgive them. Not to set them free, but to set yourself free. Let me talk to you about time. Because this was the one that punched me in the gut. You think you have time, but you don't. Huh? You think you have time, but you don't. 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 You think you have time, but you don't, as much as you think. You keep putting off your dreams like you'll live forever. Someday I'll start that business. Someday I'll travel. Someday I'll tell them I love them. No. Someday is a lie. All you have is now, right now. That's the only thing that's real. And if you're not using it, you're losing it. Take the trip. Start the book. Say the words. Love harder. Laugh louder. Live braver. Because regret doesn't come from failing. It comes from never trying. Last thing, and this might be the hardest of all. You are enough, but you can be more. That's the balance. You're not broken. You're not lacking. You don't need to be fixed, but you are unfinished. And that's beautiful. There's more in you. More strength, more love, more vision, more power. Don't stop digging. Don't settle for 40% when you were born to give 100. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. This is the moment where you stop being the victim of your story and become the author of your future. It took me 45 years to learn these truths. But you don't have to wait that long. Start now. Your future is waiting. Life doesn't give you what you deserve, it gives you what you demand. This truth can shake you, and it should, because for most of us, we were taught to believe that being a good person, working hard, keeping our head down, and waiting patiently would somehow bring us the life we dream about. And we think the universe will eventually notice our effort and reward us. But that's not how life works. The world doesn't hand out trophies for quiet struggle. It responds to boldness. It responds to intention. It responds to those who step into their own power and say, this is what I want, and I will not settle for less. For years, I confused effort with entitlement. I thought that because I was trying, because I had pain, because I had good intentions, life owed me something. I learned the hard way that life isn't fair. It doesn't care about how long you've suffered in silence. It doesn't care about how much effort you've put in unless that effort is aligned with clarity and direction. People often confuse being busy with being effective. But busyness is a disguise for fear. Fear of confronting the truth, fear of demanding more, fear of being disappointed. So we stay busy, thinking that eventually someone will notice our struggle and lift us up. But no one's coming. No one's going to knock on your door and give you permission to go after what's yours. That permission comes from within. You want more in life? Then raise your standards. Raise your voice. Raise your vision. Demand more. Not from others, but from yourself. Life mirrors what you believe you are worthy of. And if you walk through this world apologizing for your existence, if you shrink to make others comfortable, if you constantly tell yourself that you'll wait for the right moment, then life will continue to hand you the leftovers. Life will always match the level of your identity, not your desire. You can desire greatness all day, but if your identity is built around fear, self-doubt, and guilt, your actions will follow that script, not your dreams. There comes a moment where you have to decide what you will no longer tolerate. You have to draw a line in the sand and say, this ends here. I'm not living this way anymore. That's the beginning of power. Not when everything's perfect, not when all the lights are green, but when you decide that the current version of life is no longer acceptable. That one decision can change everything. When you demand more love, more health, more growth, more peace, You begin to move differently. You speak differently. You attract differently. People feel your energy shift, and the world begins to respond. But it begins with you. And don't mistake this for arrogance. This is not about entitlement. It's about owning your worth. Knowing you are here for a reason. Knowing that your potential is not meant to be buried under layers of fear and excuses. There are too many people walking around with dreams they've buried alive. Dreams that never saw daylight because they were waiting for life to give them what they thought they deserved. But life doesn't reward the passive. It rewards the brave, the bold, the ones who step into discomfort and declare that they are not here to simply survive, but to rise. Demand clarity, demand growth, demand alignment with your higher self. When you stop asking for permission and start claiming your place, you send a signal not just to the world, but to your soul. That signal says, I'm ready. I'm done playing small. I'm done hoping for scraps. I want the full meal. And I will no longer apologize for wanting more, being more, becoming more. Pain is not your enemy, it's your compass. Most people spend their lives running from pain, numbing it, distracting themselves, or pretending it doesn't exist. We've been conditioned to believe that pain is bad, that it's something to escape from or eliminate as fast as possible. But the truth is, pain is one of the most powerful signals life can give us. It's not a punishment. It's a message, a guide, a flashing light that says, pay attention, something needs to change. If you're willing to sit with pain instead of avoiding it, you can learn more about yourself in one moment of raw discomfort than in years of surface level happiness. Every breakthrough I've ever had was born in the middle of pain. Not when things were easy, not when everything was going well, but when everything felt like it was falling apart. Pain strips away the noise. It pulls you into the present. It forces you to confront the truth you've been avoiding. Whether it's emotional pain, physical pain, or spiritual pain, it all carries a message. Grow, shift, listen, evolve. And yet we treat pain like a curse, when in fact, it's the birthplace of transformation. If you want to live a full life, you have to learn to stop fearing pain and start understanding it. The people who achieve real change aren't the ones who avoid pain, they're the ones who face it. They look it in the eye and ask, what are you here to teach me? Because pain is a teacher with no filter. It doesn't sugarcoat things. It doesn't flatter your ego. It tells you exactly what needs to be said. It reveals the cracks in your foundation, the lies you've been telling yourself, the patterns you've been stuck in. It brings everything to the surface, not to break you, but to build you, to show you what needs healing, to show you where you're still holding on to something that no longer serves you. Think about it. Why do we feel pain after betrayal? Because it shows us we placed our trust in the wrong hands. Why do we feel pain in failure? Because it points to where our skills, beliefs, or efforts didn't align. Why do we feel pain in loneliness? Because it reminds us of our need for connection, or sometimes our lack of connection with ourselves. Pain is brutally honest. It doesn't lie. It doesn't flatter. It just speaks. And when we listen, when we stop trying to run, numb, blame, or distract, that's when pain becomes purpose. Pain carves out space within you. At first it feels like destruction, like loss. But that space it creates is the same space that can be filled with wisdom, strength, empathy, and courage. The deeper the pain, the more capacity you build to hold power and purpose. You become someone who has lived through storms and come out wiser. Someone who can look another person in the eye and say, I understand. That kind of strength doesn't come from reading books. It comes from walking through fire and realizing it didn't burn you. It shaped you. We're so afraid of hurting that we forget hurting is a part of healing. You cannot grow without discomfort. You cannot become strong without resistance. Just like muscles grow from tension and tearing, the soul grows from struggle and reflection. You want to become unshakable? Then stop avoiding the very thing that life is using to elevate you. Stop looking at pain as the end. It's not the end. It's the beginning of truth, the beginning of alignment, the beginning of becoming who you were always. Your story is your cage. Change the story, change your life. Every single person walking this earth is living a life shaped not by circumstances, but by the narrative they repeat to themselves every day. We all have a story. Some of us carry stories of pain, stories of betrayal, stories of failure. Others carry stories of survival, strength, and resilience. But the most important thing to understand is this. Your story is not fact, it's a perspective. And perspective can be rewritten. For a long time, I lived inside a story that said I wasn't enough. That no matter how hard I tried, I would always fall short. That the mistakes I made in the past were chains I'd never be able to break. I didn't realize how deeply those words had rooted themselves into my identity. I thought I was being honest with myself, but I was really just reliving old wounds, echoing beliefs that didn't belong to me anymore. The truth is, the story we tell ourselves is the single most powerful force shaping our decisions, emotions, and future. And most people don't even realize they're the ones holding the pen. If you're waking up every day feeling stuck, feeling lost, feeling like no matter what you do, it's never enough, you don't need a new job, a new relationship, or a new place to live, you need a new story. Because the voice inside your head has been narrating your life for so long that it feels like truth. But it's not. It's just repetition. And repetition becomes identity. You say it enough times, you start to believe it. You believe it long enough, and it becomes your reality. But what if you questioned it? What if you paused for just a moment and asked yourself, is this story serving me, or is it limiting me? Is this story lifting me higher, or is it keeping me small? The stories we cling to are often rooted in fear. They protect us from risk, from disappointment, from rejection, but they also rob us of growth. The story that says, I'm not good at relationships, keeps you from opening your heart. The story that says, I'll never succeed because of my past, keeps you from trying. The story that says, people like me don't win, keeps you exactly where you are. Your story becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You make decisions based on what you believe about yourself. You interpret events through the lens of that narrative. You see rejection as confirmation that you're unworthy. You see failure as proof that you're not cut out for more. But once you realize you're the author, you realize you have the power to edit the script. You don't have to keep living in the same chapter. You can close the book on that identity and begin writing something new. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about telling a story that aligns with who you want to become. It's about speaking truth with power instead of fear. It's about saying, yes, I've been through things, but they don't define me. It's about choosing a narrative that empowers, energizes, and expands you. That version of your story is waiting. The version where you're not a victim of your past, but the hero of your future. The version where every setback was a setup, where every loss carried a lesson, where every scar became a symbol of survival. People will try to label you. Your past will try to haunt you. But none of that has power unless you hand it the pen. Take it back. Write your own story. One where your challenges refined you, not ruined you. One where you were always enough, even when you were doubted. One where the ending hasn't been written yet, because the best chapters are still ahead. Life is happening for you, not to you. It's easy to forget that when things fall apart, when people walk away, when plans fail, when the storm doesn't pass but gets heavier, in those moments it feels like life is out to get you, like the universe is punishing you, like you're just the target of endless setbacks and unfair circumstances. But that mindset keeps you stuck. It traps you in victimhood. And as long as you live in that state, you give away all your power. You stop seeing the deeper meaning. You stop asking what life might be trying to teach you. You stop growing. You start blaming. And nothing changes when blame is in control. There is a shift that happens the moment you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And instead ask, what is this trying to build in me? That shift changes everything. Suddenly, every failure isn't the end, it's feedback. Every betrayal isn't destruction, it's redirect. Every loss isn't punishment, it's preparation. The same life that broke you in some way is also shaping you in ways you can't yet see. But most people never allow themselves to step far enough back to see the bigger picture. They get so caught in the pain that they miss the purpose. It's hard to accept when you're in the middle of it, when the people you loved most hurt you, when the opportunity you counted on falls through, when the timing never seems to work in your favor. But sometimes, what feels like rejection is actually protection. Sometimes the door that slammed shut was never meant to open, because what's on the other side of it would have taken you further from who you're meant to be. Life sees the whole map, you only see one piece. Trusting that life is happening for you doesn't mean you won't feel pain. It means you don't let pain become the final story. Some of the strongest people you'll ever meet didn't become strong by accident. They were shaped by adversity. Strength doesn't come from ease. It comes from endurance. It comes from breaking and rebuilding, from loss and learning, from uncertainty and unshakable decision. The people who are calm in chaos, who speak with wisdom, who carry peace that can't be shaken, they didn't get that by escaping pain. They got that by walking through it and letting it refine them instead of define them. When you start to live with the belief that life is happening for you, you begin to see lessons where others see obstacles. You begin to ask better questions. Instead of why me, you ask, what now? Instead of what did I lose, you ask, what am I gaining from this? And when you ask better questions, you get better answers. The pain you thought would break you ends up revealing your strength. The moment that felt like the end becomes the beginning of your real growth. Living this way doesn't mean pretending everything is okay. It means knowing that even in the worst moments, there's something within you that's being built. Something you'll need for the next season, something you'll use to help someone else, something that will become part of your power. Life doesn't always make sense in real time. Sometimes the dots only connect looking back, but if you choose to believe that life is not random, that it's intelligent, that it's responding to your growth, then even your darkest hours will not be wasted. They will be transformed. They will become part of the foundation that holds you up when everything else shakes. You are enough, but you can be more. Most people live their lives caught in the extremes, either constantly feeling like they're not good enough or convincing themselves that growth means something is wrong with them. But true power lies in the middle. You are enough as you are, right now, with all your flaws, your past, your mistakes, your doubts, and your wounds. You are worthy of love, worthy of respect, worthy of peace, not because you've achieved perfection, but because you are here, alive, breathing, trying. That alone makes you enough. But being enough doesn't mean you stop. It doesn't mean you settle. It doesn't mean you ignore the part of your soul that's craving more. It means you grow from wholeness, not from lack. This is where most people get it wrong. They believe that in order to change their life, they must hate where they are. They think motivation has to come from dissatisfaction. But change that's rooted in shame rarely lasts. It creates a cycle of never feeling complete. You set goals, not to expand, but to prove something. And once you reach them, the satisfaction fades and the emptiness returns. Because no matter how much you do, it's never enough when you believe you are not enough. The foundation matters. Growth must come from love, not from self-rejection. You evolve not because you're broken, but because you know you're capable of more. You don't chase growth to fix yourself. You chase it to express your fullest potential. That potential is already inside you. It's not something you have to earn, it's something you have to uncover. And the way you uncover it is by accepting who you are now, while still honoring who you can become. You look in the mirror and say, I love who I am, and I'm excited to meet who I'm becoming. That's where the fire starts. That's where real transformation lives. In the balance between self-acceptance and relentless pursuit. This mindset allows you to celebrate yourself without becoming complacent. You stop measuring your worth by how productive you are, how much money you make, how many followers you have. You start measuring it by how aligned you are with your values, how present you are with the people you love, how deeply you listen to your intuition, how courageously you live even when fear is loud. Because success without self-worth is empty, and achievement without peace is just another prison. When you understand that you are enough, you stop waiting for permission. You stop comparing your journey to someone else's highlight reel. You stop letting external validation define your identity. And when you believe you can be more, you stop playing small. You stop shrinking to fit other people's expectations. You stop settling for a version of life that doesn't ignite your soul. You start taking bold action. You start making powerful decisions. You start demanding more from yourself, not from a place of pressure, but from a place of passion. You are the author of your next chapter. And in this chapter, you don't have to choose between being content and being hungry. You can hold both. You can be proud and still want more. You can feel grateful and still chase growth. You can love yourself and still evolve. That's not contradiction. That's power. The world needs people who know their worth and are still committed to their evolution. People who walk in rooms not to prove themselves, but to express themselves. The big win is when you prove yourself. You can hold yourself to high standards, or you can hold yourself to no standards. The big win is when you walk into rooms not to prove themselves, but to express themselves. The big win is when you walk into the room not to prove themselves, but to express themselves. People who understand that growth is not a destination, it's a decision you make every single day. Not because you're trying to become someone else, but because you're ready to become everything you already are.